Yeah, and make sure you watch it here, or actually go to recess and watch it too.
Yeah, go hang out, have a good time.
Yeah.
Take another day off work. Who cares?
Say we signed.
Topics today, but just to start, we want to dive in with our first guest, the chief of the law enforcement division for the Lake County Sheriff's Office, Christopher Cavelli, joining us to talk about how Canine Simba helped take down a burglary suspect just hours ago. This unfolded just after 11 p.m. last night. Here to break it all down is Chief Cavelli. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
So just to start, walk us through the 911 call that your office received last night about a burglary in progress.
Yeah, so just after 11:30 last night, we received a call from the owner of a trailer that hooks up to a pickup truck or some type of vehicle that can tow the trailer. He had rented it out to an individual, and that individual never returned it. What that person didn't know is there was a hidden GPS on the trailer, so the owner of this trailer was able to figure out where exactly it was located, and it was located at a business off of Rockland Road in unincorporated Libertyville. So that caller called us to let us know, hey, my trailer's over here and it hasn't been returned yet.
And so when officials arrived, it was determined that they had the trailer, but also that they were removing items from the trailer.
Yeah, so our deputies got there. They were able to get eyes on the trailer, and they saw some suspicious activity going on there. They also saw a U-Haul truck that was next to this trailer as well. And what they saw from across the street was two individuals that were loading skid steers. Those are those small little Bobcat type machines that you often see at construction sites, onto the trailer. So our deputies went and they approached these two individuals who initially claimed that they had permission to be there, that the trailer was theirs. It was a miscommunication, but further investigation revealed they were actually there using this trailer to steal those two skid steers, which are worth tens of thousands of dollars each. So they were placed into custody. And our deputies didn't stop there. They continued investigating, and they found that there was a third individual who fled just as our deputies arrived. And they did that by reviewing some video surveillance.
Okay, so tell us, at what point did you bring in Canine Simba? And talk about the training that these canines have and their ability to, in this case, track down a third suspect who was no longer at the scene.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have 11 different canines here at the Lake County Sheriff's Office, and Canine Simba is partnered with Deputy Cincino. They're a great canine team. They're generally working during our overnight hours. So in this case, when our deputies at the scene learned there was a third person who fled, they requested the assistance of Canine Simba, who responded to the scene. Canine Simba and Deputy Cincino began an immediate track and started tracking the scent of this third person who took off on foot. And it went for some distance, about a mile and a half, took them about 15, 20 minutes to locate this individual who was hunkered down hiding in a forest preserve.
Wow. Where exactly were they hiding? Just in the brush, in trees, just kind of hoping that no one would find them?
Yeah, exactly. They were hiding in the brush, exactly hoping that nobody would find them. But as our canine team approached, Canine Simba will give out different cues that they are getting close to finding the individual that they're looking for. So when that happened, they began making announcements, letting the individual know that he needed to surrender. The dog would bite the individual. So fortunately, in this case, that person surrendered right away, was taken into custody, and all three of them were charged with burglary and felony theft.
Talk a little bit about Canine Simba. How old is the dog? Who is the handler of the dog? And talk just a little bit about the training that your canines have to go through.
Yeah, Canine Simba is a German Shepherd. His handler is Deputy Chris Cincino, who has some prior experience before becoming partnered with Canine Simba, working at a different department as a canine handler as well. So they were really able to hit the ground running when they became a canine team a few years back. They go through extensive training, all of our canines. So initially it's a very rigorous 8-week initial training course where they spend a lot of time getting to know each other, getting to learn the commands that the handler is given, and then getting to work, going on different types of training activities to detect whether it's drugs or to detect humans that are fleeing or that when they go on a track for an individual, things of that nature. So that's a good solid 8 weeks. And then they train on a weekly basis after that. So they're training at least 4 to 8 extra hours every single week to keep their skills sharp. And our canine teams do a tremendous job here throughout the county. Again, we're fortunate to have 11. And that includes multi-purpose canines. That includes a canine assigned to our correctional facility, an electronic detection canine, and they often find hidden electronics that often, unfortunately, store frequently harmful child material. And then we have an explosive detection canine as well. So they have proven their success over and over, and that's why Sheriff Eidelberg, over the course of the past 8 years, has expanded our unit from 3 canine teams to now 11.
It really is incredible the work that they can do to help supplement and to be an added resource for law enforcement officials. In a situation like this, what does Canine Simba get as a treat, as a reward? How do you let the canine know that they have done a great job?
Yeah, so what they work off is praise and play. So as soon as they find somebody that is fleeing or finding somebody that is missing and endangered, they immediately get to play with their handler. That's the reward. That's what they're working for, and that's what they desire so much. Just a little playtime, and they get the job done.
Well, great job to Canine Simba. Now, I'm sure that in a situation like this, when the canine is locating a suspect, this is probably no fun for that suspect. What are some of the signals that the canine is giving off? You mentioned to alert the handler that they're getting close. Are they barking? Are they pulling on the leash? And I'm sure in a lot of situations where a canine locates a suspect, that suspect, they don't want to mess around.
Yeah, without a doubt. So our handlers are very in tune to the behavior of their canine partner. And so they're watching for cues as they're on a track. Their ears going back, they're sensing activity picking up and things of that nature. And when they start to get to that point, they work hand in hand. They're partners and they rely on one another. The handler knows when their canine is getting close to finding an individual that they're searching for. So at that point, the handler will start making announcements that there's a canine, and if the individual doesn't surrender, that they could be bit. And usually 9 times out of 10, the individual will surrender at that point because the dog is generally barking. And I don't know of anybody that really wants to be bit, especially by a police canine. But there are occurrences where some people just don't want to give up the fight, and the canine does get released, but they have been able to apprehend everybody that they've been sent to do that. So again, just such an invaluable resource for us. They're awesome canine deputy partners we have.
Absolutely. And now switching gears to this morning's court date, anything you can share about that? The 3 suspects, a 56-year-old, a 45-year-old, and a 35-year-old from this incident last night, were set to appear in court this morning. Do you know, did that hearing go off as planned?
Yeah, I don't have information on the court hearing. They were scheduled for first appearance court. That's where a judge makes the determination, and it depends on whether or not a petition to hold somebody in custody is filed, and the judge will make a decision based on the facts in the case if the individuals will be held in custody while awaiting trial, or if they'll be released on pretrial release with conditions. So that's what would have taken place this morning. I have not yet received an update.
And we know one of the suspects was from Milwaukee, another Chicago, the third from Chicago Heights. What happens now with your team's investigation? Will there be potentially looking into whether they were tied to other burglaries in the area?
Yeah, they absolutely will. Generally, when somebody is caught in a crime like this, it's usually not their first time. So what they'll do is they'll send out a bulletin to regional law enforcement with the information from this incident, the images of the individuals that we apprehended, to see if there are case factors that match cases in other municipalities or jurisdictions. And if so, we'll share our information with the detectives of those respective police departments.
Great. Well, Chief Covelli, lots going on in Lake County. Anything else that you want our viewers to know?
No, again, very proud of the success of our canine teams. And here in Lake County, we're really fortunate to have so many hardworking canine partners that are out there on patrol 24/7.
Thank you so much, Chief Covelli. Really nice to see you as always.
Likewise.
All right, the time is just about 1:10 on this Monday afternoon. Really incredible work by K9 Simba there in Lake County from the Lake County Sheriff's Office. You mentioned they have nearly a dozen, you heard him mention they have nearly a dozen canines that are hard at work, really exploring all different tracks of law enforcement, whether it's finding suspects, locating drugs and other contraband, locating hidden cameras, as he mentioned there. So really a lot of great work happening there in Lake County, and hopefully K9 Simba got that well-deserved playtime with his handler. The time now is 1:10. We will take a quick break. Lots more that we want to catch you up on this Monday. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live on Monday, July 6th. Lots to cover today. We just spoke with the chief of the Law Enforcement Division for Lake County Sheriff's Office, Chris Cavelli, who told us about one of their canines who helped take down a burglary suspect last night. We have a lot to cover today. Tonight, big game, USA versus Belgium, 7 p.m. right here on Fox Chicago. And we got some good news, but our star player Flo will be back on the field tonight. Belgium tried to contest that, but there was no merit for it, and he will be playing tonight. Huge win for the U.S. before the match even begins. We want to switch gears now. It is 1:14 p.m., and we are bringing in Megan Ryder with the Illinois Oral Health Coalition. Now, a lot of Illinois Medicaid patients, they put off treatment for more than a year, sometimes months, sometimes years, for dental treatment because the reimbursements are just so low and they are difficult to obtain. So we want to bring in Megan right now. Thank you so much for being with us on this Monday afternoon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So talk a little bit about the current situation and why this is so complicated, and what's happening for a lot of patients across the state who have Medicaid.
Yeah, this is a very complex issue. And as many of us know and experience, that insurance is often tied to employment here in the US, leaving many people in Illinois either uninsured or underinsured. And Illinois has 102 counties, and 74 of those counties are classified as dental health profession shortage areas. And in addition to that, the Illinois Department of Public Health tracks oral health workforce data. And according to the 2021-2022 workforce survey, the majority of dentists are working in private practices versus a federally qualified health center or a local health department. And in those settings are typically where a lot of Medicaid patients can be seen. And of those respondents to this workforce survey, 30% of dentists are planning on retiring in the next 5 years. And so think about, we are right at that 5-year mark now. And so a big question is, do we have a proper supply of dental providers in place to meet this demand? And while we have 3 dental schools in Illinois, some may argue that yes, we do have enough of that to meet the demand. It's very difficult and different, especially for rural communities. And research shows that unless you are born and raised in a rural community, the chances of a provider moving to a rural area is very slim. So we typically see
We just lost Megan there for a second. We'll try to get her signal back up and running. Oh, Megan, are you there?
I apologize.
No worries.
Usually my internet doesn't have any issues.
Oh, it happens. No problem. So you were saying, in a lot of rural communities, you were talking a little bit about just the challenges that individuals living in rural communities face.
Yeah, so especially when we're looking at specialty providers or oral surgeons, it's very difficult for them to want to come and work or live in a rural community. So we typically see long travel times for those living in central and southern Illinois because they're driving to Chicago oftentimes to be seen. Another challenge is overall, Illinois has one of the lowest Medicaid reimbursement rates. So for a dental provider to be able to accept Medicaid patients, if they are a private practice owner, it makes it very difficult for them to only see Medicaid patients because they don't get reimbursed as much as they would if they were to see, let's say, a patient that has dental insurance or can pay out of pocket for the entire dental service. So it just, as from a sustainability perspective, it just doesn't add up for them. So yes, oftentimes people can say, well, it's an easy fix. We just need to increase the reimbursement rates. Well, we've tried that for several years in Illinois and unfortunately have been overall unsuccessful. And so that is why we have patients who do get into a Medicaid provider because there are very few that accept Medicaid. They have a long wait time. And so then the problem with that, you can see this very quickly spirals.
Absolutely.
Because these patients can't be seen. So they have untreated dental care and it takes a long time for them to get in. So they are very complex cases, meaning they need multiple visits. They have extensive work that needs to be done or they are in pain. And so it's very difficult to manage and treat these patients and to get them more on the preventative services.
And oh my gosh, I mean, we've all dealt with situations where we've had an excruciating tooth pain or a tooth that needs to come out, and waiting is just, oh, it's so draining and it's exhausting. And to think that not only when can I get into a provider, but which provider will see me and where, just the distance being a challenge is really just a lot of hoops to jump through. Now, talk a little bit about what the Illinois Oral Health Coalition is doing to try to fight this and to try to make this, to meet the gap for these patients.
So the coalition is a new and re-emerging coalition within the last 2 years. And so our mission is to improve oral health of Illinois residents through advocacy, education, and collaboration. And we really pride ourselves on having a dental public health voice, making sure that new workforce models or bills that are proposed are going to have the largest benefit, especially for those underserved populations. And so we have been working closely and building relationships with other organizations, with lobbyists, with legislators, and educating them on why we need to make these changes to improve access to care. Because as many of us know, the greatest way to have the biggest impact is through policy change.
And I want to go back to one of the earlier points that you raised, that so many dental providers are retiring. Is there a push to, inspire, to, hope that younger people join this field in schools and start to study the dental practice?
There are initiatives and programs throughout the state that are trying to expose students to dental careers. And so the problem with that, in order to get funding, it's very difficult to evaluate the success of these programs, or making sure that, yes, they did follow through and they decided to become a dental assistant or become a hygienist or a dentist. But that doesn't mean that getting them this exposure and education on these career fields are not important. It is absolutely necessary in order to educate high school students on these careers, and not only the career, but how to get there.
Absolutely. Anything else that you want to share with our viewers, Megan?
Just that the coalition is really working hard to, again, improve advocacy efforts to make sure that we can propose bills, or not necessarily us propose bills on our own, but educating the population, the public, legislators, organizations on why increasing access to care and how these bills will play out and what it means to improve care for underserved populations.
And I know you said you're, really getting off the ground, but have you had any traction with any policymakers, anything that seems promising in the coming months?
We did, actually. This past year, we worked closely with Delta Dental of Illinois and would bring together stakeholders to make improvements around teledentistry. And so this was just this year. The amended bill now allows an initial visit to be conducted via teledentistry and initial screenings,
Great.
Including non-emergency triage services. And so we're seeing this done successfully in other states. And so we are now bringing that here to Illinois, because the previous bill only allowed for emergency services to be used for teledentistry. And so now we're expanding those services on when teledentistry can be used, which is huge for people who have long travel times.
Oh, absolutely. That is huge. And especially for people who may not have access to a car, or it is difficult to take public transportation somewhere, to be able to see that provider, at least initially from home, that's got to be changing a lot of people's lives.
Yes, you think about patients, even living in a city such as Chicago or Champaign, where they have public transportation. Even though it's within the city, it can still take an hour to be seen from one end of the city to the other, and to get there with all the stops in between. And so you think about having to take time off work, travel time, and what's more important, being able to pay the bills at the end of the month, or being able to take care of a toothache for myself or my child. So having the teledentistry option to, at least for the initial screening or triage, to identify the issue, saves time and resources for both the provider and the patient.
And speaking of resources, anyone at home who uses Medicaid, can they learn more through your coalition?
I would direct them to go through first the Illinois Department of Public Health oral health section. They have a wonderful website that is much more in depth than ours at the moment right now. But going to their website, you can learn more about services that are available and providers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Megan Ryder. Really nice to meet you. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Still to come on Chicago Live, we have several guests who will be joining us, and later on, a fun collaboration between a local ice cream business and the CTA. We'll dive into that a little bit later, but for now, a quick break. Welcome back to Chicago Live. The time is now 1:28 p.m. We have been talking a lot in recent months about data centers. Illinois is quickly becoming one of the states with the most data centers, behind Virginia, behind California. So there are a lot of conversations happening and a lot of debate around data centers. This next conversation takes us to Grays Lake in Lake County, where a data center, T5 data center, has been approved. And when or if built, it would be more than 10 million square feet. But there there is a group that is opposed to the development of this data center. And joining us now are Michael and Aaron from an opposition group. Thank you for being with us today. We can't wait to dive into this topic with you.
Hi, Casey.
Thanks for having us.
So give us a little bit of background, paint the picture. We know that this data center was approved by the Village of Grays Lake. There is an information section on its website about it. Interestingly, there is also a note on the Village of Grays Lake website that says, unfortunately, due to notice of impending litigation and upon advice of counsel, the village at this time cannot offer further responses to questions regarding the approved data center development. So there's a list of Q&A, but it sounds like the village at this time can't really say much more. Talk us through what you know about the data center and where in the process are we? Has the groundbreaking occurred just yet?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Casey. So most of the residents of Grays Lake and the adjacent communities found out about this project after the final vote occurred, which was May of 2025. This life cycle was several phases of zoning and board meeting approvals that started in September of 2024. And throughout that process, the Village of Grays Lake's government did not properly officially notify the public that this project was going to be a data center. So once the community discovered this, we started to coalesce around some social media and grew a grassroots organization that now numbers in the thousands of people that are concerned about the impact of this massive project. It's going to be a 1.2 gigawatt, 20 building hyperscale AI data center, probably one of the largest projects ever done in Lake County, and certainly one of the largest data centers in all of the Midwest. Yet the village failed to properly notify the public that this was going to happen. And there are many concerns that we have about this project now.
And I know a lot of those concerns deal with environmental concerns, concerns about the local wetlands. Talk to me about how this could impact those wetlands in the area and the ripple effect that that may have. We know a big issue and one of the greater oppositions to a lot of these data centers is the use of our fresh water to cool these data centers. But talk to us about that wetlands component.
Yeah, so there's a very significant watershed that really kind of, I think it starts just north of where this campus is that T5 is going to be building, called the Mill Creek watershed. And that feeds north through Grays Lake into a couple other lakes, Third and Fourth Lake, and eventually into the Des Plaines River. And this is an important waterway for so many reasons. And the concern that we have is that they want to fill in portions of the property that are in wetlands that could be very vital. And there really haven't been any independent studies done to understand what the ultimate impact will be on the waterways, the watershed, as well as all of the species, whether they're plant species or animal species that inhabit that wetland waterway, but also depend on that as a resource. So that's certainly a big concern of ours, and I'm sure Aaron has other concerns to talk about too.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I mean, I think that, I think that the importance of what we're dealing with right now is definitely the animal, bird, and plant species. They provide the right level of biodiversity that we require. Lake County is known for our forest preserves, our outdoor areas, our green spaces, and I think that the Village of Grays Lake really is going back on their sustainability project that they proposed in 2017, and they're going back on that by saying we don't need to protect that anymore, which is a concern for many of us in Lake County.
For those familiar with the area, describe for us where this will be. I see it's going to be near Peterson and Route 83. What else is in that area? We know we talked about the wetlands, but is it a lot of residential? Is it other business parks? Kind of paint the picture for us of that area.
Yeah, so you have Peterson Road to the south, and then Allegheny Road just to the west of that project, and 83 is somewhat east of it. But you have a very important retirement community called Saddlebrook Farms that is just like a soldier field football length away from where they're going to be building this massive monstrosity of a data center, and that has over 3,000 residents that have homes where they're depending on their homes as part of their retirement. And it's a big concern of that community, especially as their home values will depreciate as this goes up. There is a light industrial Medline warehouse there, but this is being zoned. This property historically has been zoned for mixed use, which is light industrial, office, and residential. And you can see that on their historic website information pages. But there is no category that we know of for hyperscale 1.2 gigawatt data center that's going to require very large substations that are going to be connecting to the transmission lines and stepping down that high voltage so that they could feed it into their 20 plus buildings that they're going to have. So that's a big concern. And there are other residents right along Allegheny Road that are next to it. They're going to see impacts on their home values, as well as everybody that's going to feel the noise from it. And they're going to have many, maybe hundreds of generators, probably diesel fuel generators, because that's what they have in their North Lake facility, that will emit noxious, poisonous fumes into the air. And so people that have asthma or other ailments that, airborne poison can really affect them, especially an aging population. This is a big concern. And there were never studies done independently. They just took the word of the T5 company, which, by the way, T5 is a company based out of Atlanta, Georgia. They have no executives that are going to be living next to this hyperscale data center. They're going to be profiting while they live comfortably in their homes in the Atlanta area, and on the backs of the people who live around this in Grace Lake and adjoining communities.
Now, proponents argue that this could create hundreds, if not more than 1,500 jobs, not just construction jobs in the process of building this development, but permanent jobs as well. What is your response to the proponents who argue that this could actually be an economic driver for the area?
So we FOIA'd minutes from the zoning board meetings, and there was a Q&A between the zoning board and the T5 representatives, where the T5 representatives say that at most you're going to see 50 jobs per building, and those are going to be on 3 shifts. So 50 times maybe 20 buildings over a couple years does not equate to 1,500 or more jobs that might be permanent. The construction jobs, those are temporary jobs. They'll go away. And there was a union, Union 150, that showed up at our last board meeting and took over that meeting. And we asked, there were probably 100 plus of them there. And we asked them, how many of you live in Lake County? And how many of you are going to be working on this project? And there were maybe 2 or 3 that raised their hand. So if in fact unions are going to be in this project, they're mostly going to be not in Lake County and maybe not even in the state of Illinois. Who knows?
No, they'll be driving in from other counties. They'll bring their own food. They won't be supporting, our local economy in Grays Lake. They'll drive in and then drive out at the end of the day. And so this isn't really helpful to our area.
And talk about your connection to the area. Are both of you residents of Grays Lake?
We're Lake County residents, and we're impacted by this because we all share the same Commonwealth Edison electric grid. We also all share the same waterways, and we're very close. So Grays Lake is a village of 20,000 plus residents. All of Lake County is going to be impacted by this project. And it's also a template for what they want to build beyond just this Grays Lake campus. And we've seen documents from real estate companies that have been involved in this, and they're all like just salivating over what they term as the gold rush of the data center era, where they can come into communities that and promise jobs and tax money at the expense of the people that have to live next to these monstrosities and watch their health decrease and their property values decrease. And that's an injustice to the residents of all of Lake County.
Michael and Aaron, what is next for the coalition? Is there another meeting coming up with the village? Talk about what happens now.
So tonight we actually have an important meeting, the Round Lake Park Village Hall meeting tonight at 5:30 p.m. The village will be voting to officially oppose of the T5 data center and moving forward to oppose any data centers in their community. Tomorrow night is Grays Lake Village Hall meeting. Show up early. Show up early and be ready to speak if you're ready to speak about it.
Thank you both so much. Is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, so number one, we are a grassroots movement that started by residents of Lake County who coalesced around a common concern and now a common goal to stop the T5. And we're going to bring a lawsuit very soon to Grays Lake, and we hope that there'll be an injunction and that the courts will be able to review the evidence from our attorney that shows that Grays Lake did not give due process to its residents. Beyond that, we're pushing the Power Act and other legislation that's going to put strong guardrails around data center development in the future, and so that the public is engaged on this issue and that we're able to get outcomes that are in the best interest of the residents of Lake County and all of Illinois.
All right, it's certainly a topic that we will be keeping an eye on. Thank you both so much for your time. Looking online, T5 Data Centers is described as an infrastructure company that builds, leases, and manages secure, high-power facilities for cloud, AI, and enterprise computers, similar to many of the data centers that we have seen popping up across the state. And I just want to run through some of these stats with you. This is from the Pew Research Center, just from February of 2026, so not too long ago. But Virginia tops all of the states in the U.S. with the highest number of planned and currently operating data centers, followed by Texas and California. But a close fourth is Illinois, with just 331 either currently operating or planned data centers. After that, Georgia, Ohio, and Arizona. So Illinois is up there when it comes to exploding data centers, which really are popping up. It feels like we're talking about this topic multiple times a week now. So we will be keeping an eye on the Grays Lake County Data Center. You heard them mention there's a meeting tonight in Round Lake Park where they will be voting on the future of data centers in their community, and then a Village of Grays Lake meeting tomorrow night. So we will be keeping an eye on both fronts and also that pending litigation for you. We've got much more here on Chicago Live. Stay with us. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to Chicago Live. As you all know, we have been experiencing hot, humid, and muggy weather over the last week or so. It has been really exhausting to so many people. You know, that feeling of just walking outside and you feel like you instantly want to head back in, take a shower, change your clothes. But of course, the hot weather is something that doctors, nurses, medical professionals are also really keeping an eye on, because it puts vulnerable communities in an even more vulnerable spot, whether that's not being able to afford air conditioning, or just the young and the old who really need to be looked after during these extreme temperatures. Joining us now, our next guest is Troy Duell, a local health expert. We want to chat a little bit about protecting your cognitive function during high heat, during extreme heat. Troy, just to start, thanks for being with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so my background, grew up loving health and started to play soccer and wanted to really see how I could get better by just doing some little things like changing your diet, exercising more, doing the small things. So exercise physiology was a big part of it. And in college, went and did sports medicine, learned a little bit about that, and then continued that growth later on, and went on to find out a little bit more about functional nutrition and health, and really doing more research to kind of get to the bottom of all these things that we hear about out there. And one of them is just, how does our body respond when we're under duress, like constant heat like we've had in the past week? So that's certainly a big part of it.
And you are the host of the Frontline Health podcast, where you cover an array of topics, including mental sharpness, the perfect plate. I want to get into those in just a little bit, but first, let's go over what's going on right now, this hot, hot weather. We're kind of coming out of it a little bit here in Chicago and surrounding suburbs, but talk about the importance of keeping your brain healthy, your body healthy during extreme heat, because as we all know, fatigue can increase very quickly when it is that hot out.
Absolutely. And there was actually a study done in 2018 that showed kids who were in temperatures above 90 degrees actually performed 14% worse on tests than before, which somebody like me, I certainly couldn't afford that extra heat and really hurting my academic average. So you want to make sure that in those times that we're trying to minimize the effect of the heat on us. And there are certain things that we know that you should do to minimize those things. There are other studies that showed once we get above those 90-degree temperatures, you have greater inflammation and your blood-brain barrier actually starts to break down, which lets in more of the toxins that we're taking in our environment, whether that's through our food or through the air or through the water that we drink. So those are things that we see in science that go, all right, there's something to this heat. And I think if anybody has kept up with the World Cup or anything that's going on, when they play those games and they're going a long time, you always hear the commentators talk about once they go into extra time that people's decisions get worse, their body doesn't respond as fast. Some of that's obviously just muscle starting to deteriorate because you're tired, but a lot of that is your mental capacity. Mm-hmm. And you lose that mental capacity because your body is hotter. And then you want to work to really minimize that as best you can.
Yeah, okay, so athletes are one thing, right? Not a lot of us are competing in the FIFA World Cup, but there are so many people who work outside and they can't escape the heat, maybe for a short time, a bathroom break, lunch break. But let's talk about those folks who are exposed to the elements for hours a day. What is your advice to them on staying cool this summer when we do see more days with extreme temperatures?
Yeah, that's a great question and something we've always looked at, but it starts with really staying hydrated. I know that's not something that is rocket science, but truly that is the base of what we need to do. So we're trying to keep our body temperature as low as possible. And the best way to do that is to stay hydrated. And thankfully, we've been created in such a way, and I think the world was created in such a way, that you have melons and citrus and other fruits and vegetables that are ripe during the summer that also contain the highest levels of water in them. So we know that if you're taking in fruits and vegetables during the summer, those fresh seasonal vegetables are going to be much better at keeping us hydrated. And then if you add on the water and you add on some electrolytes, you really are setting yourself up for your body to be able to cope with those high temperatures much better.
Okay, so on that topic, you mentioned electrolytes. I feel like electrolytes, obviously they've been around forever, but it seems like buying those packets where you put them in your water bottle are becoming a lot more popular. We're seeing a lot more brands. What's your take on those packets? Are they healthy for you? Are they safe to use? Do we need to keep an eye on the brands that we're buying? Or is it better just to look for a bottled water brand that says plus electrolytes?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we get a lot of those questions out there, and it really depends on the brand. So we've got to really perform at the buyer beware level. So you want to make sure that whatever you're taking in, you're looking over it, making sure that it's not loaded with a bunch of sugar, that it's not loaded with a bunch of ingredients that may be synthetic. And you want to, if you do it, you don't want to do it 4 or 5 times a day. If you do it once and maybe you're sweating a lot, then maybe twice, but you don't want to overburden your kidneys with dumping in a bunch of these electrolytes into your body, because that can certainly cause other harm and other damage as well. So I always recommend taking some time to read the ingredients, make sure you know what you're putting into your body. And just because it says electrolytes does not necessarily mean it's great for you, because we know a lot of those drinks that we get, the sports drinks, are loaded with sugar, which increases inflammation, which compounds the issue of the heat that you're trying to resolve.
Absolutely. Now, we see that in your podcast, you focus on 3 main areas: good nutrition, smart supplementation, and key lifestyle changes. That supplementation conversation, I'm sure, ties to what we just spoke about with electrolytes, really paying attention to the ingredients. What else can people do to feel their best selves, mentally and physically, on a day-to-day basis?
That again is one of those things that it goes back to the basics. You know, we hear it all the time. You probably should avoid smoking, especially during high temperatures, because we know that smoking can have a detrimental impact. It doesn't help your body cool, and your body's dealing with toxins that you don't want it to have. Excessive alcohol intake is not a good thing for our body. So we want to avoid that. We want to make sure that we're exercising, but be wise when it's hot outside with your exercise. Maybe turn it down a notch, go indoors for your exercise. If you can't, wait till the cool of the day, either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, because if you're exercising, you're increasing blood flow to your brain, which ultimately is going to help as long as you're not going to the point of exhaustion and in the middle of the day with the heat. So you want to avoid those things. And then the fruits, berries, all the vegetables that you've got, that's always a good piece. And if you want to supplement outside of just those electrolytes that you're taking in, you really want to kind of concentrate on the vitamin B products. So anything that's methylfolate, that's methylcobalamin, or pyridoxine, which is a mouthful, but it's B6. And those 3 versions are really bioavailable versions. So you want to avoid the synthetic versions and get the kind that actually gets into your body and that your body can use. So those are big things that you can use. A couple of small things, you know, from an eating standpoint, you could go with eggs, because we know the choline in there and the vitamin B products that are in there, or vitamin B that's in it, will be super beneficial for your body, especially during times of heat, but throughout the year.
And you mentioned brain fog. Talk a little bit about this. How can people identify when they are experiencing brain fog, perhaps due to environmental elements like the heat? And can any age range experience this side effect?
Absolutely. I think anybody who has been out exercising or been out in the heat and doing yard work or something along those lines, on a hot day, you feel that kind of fuzzy mental capacity that you have going on, and you can't necessarily recall words, you can't recall names as well. You start to lose your faculties, and it probably the best way to talk about it is it just feels fuzzy in your mind. And that's something that I think we've all experienced, where we're just not quite as sharp as we would like to be. And that obviously is being confirmed by those studies that showed a 14% drop in performance among students. So all those things add up, and that's what brings in the brain fog and causes issues for all of us when the heat comes in.
Now, real quick, just about that, about students, a lot of schools still don't have AC in them. We're on summer break, but of course some kids have summer school. What do you suggest that parents do to help their kids if they are going to a camp, or perhaps they are enrolled in summer school and the building or the facility that they're in is just really hot? Does that just go to maybe packing, some cold snacks for them, cold water? Any quick tips that you have for parents out there?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. So start with the snacks themselves. Make sure that whatever snacks they are, they're full of water, or like watermelon would be great, citrus would be great. Any of those fruits are good because we know they're cool usually, they're very refreshing, and they're gonna get you hydrated. And then make sure that you're talking to your kids about drinking water on a regular basis, because just because they're young and we think they can overcome anything, if they become dehydrated, it becomes a real issue, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. So you ask them to take those water breaks, make sure that they're resting when they get an opportunity to rest if they're in a camp somewhere, and that they're drinking as much water and staying hydrated as possible. And I think most people, especially at camps these days, seem to be very well educated and do a great job of getting their kids that they have at the camp, of getting them hydrated and making sure they're taking those water breaks. So just really reinforce that when you're at home as well with your kids, to make sure they're taking in as much as they possibly can.
Troy Duell, a health expert, thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
You too. A lot of great insight there. Of course, we have experienced really high heat indexes over the last week or so. Things seem to be settling in. We'll get a check of our weather in just a little bit here. But great advice there, looking for fruits and vegetables that contain a lot of water, like watermelon, staying hydrates, and looking at the ingredients of what you're putting into your body. Great advice there from Troy. We will be right back. It is just about 2 p.m. Lots more to cover on Chicago Live. Stay with us. Welcome back to Chicago Live. The time is now 2:01, and coming up at this hour, we will be chatting about Mayor Brandon Johnson's new Renters Protection Ordinance that was just proposed last week. We will also be talking about California wanting to ban sell-by dates. They say too much food is being wasted when citizens, they see that sell-by date on products and they think that perhaps the food is bad, so they toss it instead of waiting until the actual expiration date. And then coming up in the 2:30 half hour, we will be chatting with a local pastry chef who has an ice cream business who is teaming up with the CTA for a really fun summer collaboration. But just to start, we want to bring in Tiff, a member of the Belden Sawyer Tenant Association, to talk a little bit about Mayor Brandon Johnson's proposed Protecting Renters Ordinance. Hi, Tiff.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So just last week, Mayor Brandon Johnson and the Department of Housing introduced the Protecting Renters Ordinance, which aims to essentially revise a more than 40-year-old protections for renters. Tell us a little bit about this ordinance and what it is comprised of.
Sure. So the Protecting Renters Ordinance is, like you said, having long overdue, 40 years past, updates to the policies in Chicago that protect renters. So some of the more specific things that we'll be seeing is that it regulates fees that don't have a justified or correlated cost. It also is creating a database registration so that tenants and landlords know who each other are and can create a sense of accountability and responsibility there. It is also protecting renters from no-fault evictions. It's codifying a right to counsel for tenants, and it establishes a Bureau of Rental Housing Services, which would provide a dedicated city office to address rental concerns.
And tell us about the Belden Sawyer Tenant Association. How did it get started?
Yeah, so the Belden Sawyer Tenant Association got started when a bunch of residents at a building on Belden and Sawyer sustained a rent strike to protest their building being sold. After months of fighting, they were eventually displaced and scattered throughout the city. But in an amazing display of solidarity with themselves and other tenants in the city, they expanded to include everyone in Chicago, whether housed or unhoused, which is how I came to be involved.
And talk about why you support the ordinance. We know that more than 54% of people in Chicago rent. It's a 54% rental city, which is a really high number. Talk about your stance on the ordinance.
Yeah, so there are so many renters in Chicago, and landlords can hold so much power, and that power is liable to be abused or misused. And that's not necessarily a personal reflection on every single landlord. It's just the nature of having this kind of like power gap and power imbalance. So the really exciting things like giving tenants a right to counsel, when most of the time 90% of tenants do not have counsel when they are going to eviction court, as opposed to 90% of landlords who do. So by codifying a right to counsel for people facing eviction, we're really helping to support tenants in their own legal rights.
And we see here that the ordinance also aims to ban hidden rental fees. Oftentimes people will go in to sign a lease not realizing that perhaps there are some added fees that they weren't aware of. Talk about the equity standpoint when it comes to being able to afford properties across the city. Having any hidden fees pop up could be a challenge.
Yes. So what this ordinance does is that it asks landlords to justify any fees that they're looking to pass on to the renters. So in some situations, I know tenants who have moved into a building and have had to pay both a security deposit and a move-in fee. There's not really any reason for that other than that the landlord was looking for more money. The PRO says that unless you can show why this fee needs to exist, then you can't charge the tenant for it.
And what is next for the Tenant Association? Will you guys be showing up to meetings at City Hall as this becomes discussed in the coming weeks and months? What happens now?
Yes, we will definitely be showing up at City Hall. We have a member who has been taking an interest in really showing up and like representing us and hearing and passing along all of the information as it comes forward. I know that I'm keeping a really close eye on it. I know that I'm talking to other tenants that I know and even people in my building to speak about why this is important. We're trying to educate the public as much as possible, whether formally or informally, which again is why I'm so happy to be talking to you about it now.
And anything else that you want fellow renters in Chicago to know?
That's a really good question. I think that renters in Chicago are seeing what's happening in New York. I think that we see what Mayor Mamdani and a lot of organizers in New York City are asking for. And I think that it's showing us that we can ask for those things too, that it's reasonable and it's within our rights. So I guess I want tenants in Chicago to know that you can ask for more. You can ask to have a say in your housing. You can ask to have protection from your city. So contact your alderman and tell them to support this.
Thank you so much, Tiff. Really nice to meet you.
You too.
According to the Illinois Realtors Association, the Chicago Association of Realtors, rather, this was proposed on Thursday, June 25th. A hearing took place on Monday, June 29th, but no vote was taken yet on the matter. Under the ordinance, it would create substantial relocation payment requirements. This would apply to all rental units in the city of Chicago. It would cap security deposits, ban move-in fees, and establish a sweeping tenant bill of rights, among other items in the ordinance, including just cause eviction, where landlords must satisfy narrow grounds in order to evict a tenant. Thank you so much to Tiff for chatting with us. Coming up, we will be chatting about sell-by dates in just a few minutes here. But first, a quick check of the FIFA World Cup game. Spain is taking on Portugal. The game is happening right now in Dallas, just about 8 minutes in. No score just yet. The USA will be playing tonight at 7 p.m. in Seattle against Belgium. One of our star players got good news today. He initially was not going to be allowed to play in tonight's game after a red card violation during the last game, but he was just reinstated for tonight's game. So good news for Team USA. We've got much more coming up, including a really fun conversation with a local pastry chef about an ice cream collaboration with the CTA. We will get to all of those stories and more coming up after this break. Welcome back to Chicago Live. The time is now 2:11 p.m. on Monday, July 6th. We want to take you out to a courtroom in Utah right now. The man accused of shooting and killing political activist Charlie Kirk is in a courtroom right now. Prosecutors argue that Tyler Robinson should stand trial. A hearing is underway right now to determine if there is enough evidence to try Tyler Robinson, a law enforcement member who investigated following the shooting in the chaotic aftermath of that shooting, is on the stand right now taking questions. Let's listen in for a few minutes.
Were you present when they measured like the distance, like how tall that person would have been?
I was not.
So you don't know what that is?
I don't.
Were you able to tell the person's weight from the video that you saw?
I can tell he wasn't heavy set. So
Okay.
More of a skinnier person.
Could you identify what shoes they were wearing?
I could not.
Could you identify anything about a hat or what was on their head?
At the moment, no, I couldn't.
Okay. And did you see a gun in the video?
I saw a long black object in the left hand as he was running over across the roof.
And in fact, did you describe that in your report as a bag?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know why.
All right. Let's pull that report back up, please. Oh, never mind. I don't think you mentioned what you saw. So in your report, let's pull that back up, please. Page 5 on the Bagley 1. So looking at the second page, you're actually going to have to go to page 6, I think. You talk about what you saw in the video where they jumped off the roof. And again, I'm going to remind you of our conversation we had before about you understand how important these reports are.
Yep.
And do you mention anywhere in this report that you saw a gun?
I did not. I just had an object.
Did you mention that you saw that object? Is that on here?
Nope.
Okay, so you left that out. Now, have you looked at that over and over again?
The video? No,
Yeah.
I've only seen it twice.
Oh, really?
Yep.
When's the last time you saw it?
It's been months.
Okay. The last time you saw it, were you able to tell what that object was in his hand?
Yes.
Now-
Well, not tell what it is. I could see there's an object in that left hand, yes.
And could you, knowing what you know about the case today, do you have an idea about what that object was?
It looks like a rifle or something to that effect, a long object.
It looks like a rifle?
Like a long object, like skinny and long. You can see it's like almost like it's covered over something.
So you saw the cover, which was the towel, right?
Yes, and the shape of it is long.
Okay.
You know.
So you can see a towel, but you can't see an actual
I don't know if it
gun.
was a towel or a blanket. I don't know what it was.
But you can't see an actual gun.
No,
video.
like an object, like a form of a gun, like a long object.
Okay. All right. At the end of that day, what time did you leave the campus?
I was probably like 9 o'clock that night, maybe somewhere around there.
And did you come back the next morning and work some more?
I came back the next morning, yes.
And you worked all day the next day?
On and off.
When you left at 9 p.m., did you or anyone else know who the shooter was on that day?
No, not that I know of.
And when you came back the next morning and worked that afternoon, all that day, did you or anybody on that campus know who the shooter was?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So nothing that you found that day or anyone else to your knowledge on campus was able to identify who the shooter was?
That day, no.
Right.
Well, during the time I was there, no, that I knew of.
I also want to talk to you about that giant picture that was showed to you. Do you know?
Exhibit 35, I think.
Yes, it's Exhibit 35. Do you know who took that picture, where it came from?
I do not.
Do you know how old it is?
I have no idea.
Okay. And the pictures you were shown, exhibits 1, 2, and 3, that you got up and kind of talked about and showed all the buildings and everything. Do you have any knowledge about where those pictures came from? Or
I
who
guess
took
they
them?
were drone footage, just taken from a drone.
Do you know who was operating the drone?
Sergeant Cam Nielsen from Provo Police Department.
Provo Police Department. Had you seen those pictures before today?
Before today, yes.
When did you see them?
A couple weeks ago.
And that was just in preparation for testifying?
Yes.
Prior to that, had you ever seen those pictures? Can I have the court's indulgence for just a moment, Your Honor?
You may, Ms.
Just one
Nestor.
moment. One last thing I want to clarify. We heard you testify that Ms. Richards, or I don't know if she's Deputy Richards,
She's a state employee for the forensic lab.
so Ms. Richards.
Melissa.
She is the one who took those nighttime pictures of this stuff on the roof.
Yes.
And you testified that she told you that that was what they looked like that day?
Yes.
When did you meet with her?
I talked to her on the phone. It was several weeks ago in preparation for the trial.
So prior to a couple weeks ago, you'd never discussed those pictures with
Yeah,
her?
because I'd never seen them.
Oh, so a couple weeks ago is the first time you saw them?
Yeah.
Right. And did you write any kind of supplement to your report, to add on to your report, other than what we've gone through today, that one report you wrote? Have you ever written another one?
I have not.
That's all I have. Thank you, Your Honor. I tender the witness.
Thank you, Ms. Nestor. Mr. Grunander, redirect.
Just one question, I believe, Judge.
All right.
Officer Bagley, if we could pull up State's Exhibit 1.
All right, let's do that.
You've talked about this handgun holster that you observed
Yes.
on the grass in the courtyard.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you if you would approach the monitor when it comes up and point out as best you can where you observed that holster, okay?
We were just listening into a Provo, Utah courtroom where the suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk is in the courtroom, and a judge will decide whether or not he will stand trial for that killing in September. We want to switch gears now, bringing in the Director of Advocacy for Californians Against Waste, Nick Lapis. We want to talk about a potential change that could happen in grocery stores and food markets across the state of California when it comes to that sell-by date. Nick, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon to dive right into this topic.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
So give us a little bit of a background about the sell-by dates. It's something we see at stores, you know, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's a drugstore, Walgreens, we see on food products, sell-by, and then sometimes we even see a second date for the expiration of food. Talk a little bit about the issue that has come up here and what your group is working to achieve.
Yeah, so expiration dates are a wide range of terms that all have different meanings. And sell-by dates are not really about the quality of a product. They're not about the safety of a product. They are meant to communicate from the manufacturer to the store when they should rotate the stock that they have on the shelves. But unfortunately, people see the date on the product and they think of it as an expiration date. And they throw away perfectly good food that could be eaten because it's past, quote unquote, the date, and no one really looks at the terms or what they mean. There was a study a few years ago that showed that 20% of all edible food waste can be attributed to people being confused about what the terms mean on their expiration dates.
And it is confusing because sometimes you see that sell by date and you kind of think, wait a second, am I too close to that? Maybe I should throw it away, when in reality, you might have 5 to 7 days that you can still use that product. So we understand that these new guidelines were fully implemented just the other day on July 1st in the state of California. Is that correct? So we will no longer, if you're visiting California or for friends or family who live there, but you'll no longer see sell by, you'll see more standardized wording, which includes best if used by. How long do stores, do manufacturers have to change things over?
Yeah, the bill passed a year and a half ago, so they had until July 1st to change things over. That said, there's no expiration date police that's walking down the aisles and checking to see who's using the right words. So there will be some stores still rotating through old stock or whatever the case might be. But soon we expect it to be uniform. And as you mentioned, the two terms that are allowed are best if used by and used by. And they came out of some consumer research looking at what do people understand these different words to mean. And best if used by is for quality and used by is for safety.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, we see here that according to the Food and Drug Administration, this is causing a lot of confusion. 20% of food waste, that is more than 6 million tons of unexpired food that is being thrown away each and every year. Just talk about the impact if that didn't become waste. How many families this could feed, how many unhoused individuals this food could go to, but instead, you know, it's heading into the trash.
Yeah, the statistics are really shocking, and there's a lot of different ones. One that really sticks with me is that the average American spends $1,300 a year on food that never gets eaten. And that's a lot of money. It's actually more than the average American spends on gasoline or home heating or property taxes. There's all these different categories. And we're spending more than that on buying food that we then throw away. And nobody wants to waste the food, but at the same time, nobody wants to make their family sick. So this is a really common sense, easy change that should have a really big impact.
Now, your group, Californians Against Waste, co-sponsored this bill. Do you see other states picking up on this, enacting similar measures, implementing similar restrictions? And what's next for your group? Do you hope to inspire other states to take on similar measures?
Yeah, I know there's several other states that have introduced similar proposals. I actually believe Illinois is one of them, but I work at the California level, so I don't really track the other states that well. But there's also a bill introduced in Congress. It's a bipartisan bill that would basically replicate California's law nationally. And we think ultimately that's what we need to do. No company really makes food for one state. California is sort of unique in that regard, in that we have such a huge economy and we have the ports and all that. But even for California, it still doesn't really make sense to have state-by-state requirements. So I know both the environmental NGOs and the business groups represent the food packaging industry are both supporting a national policy on this.
Yeah, and we just looked it up here. Illinois has not banned sell-by dates, but they are working to achieve a more uniformed, more uniformed words on food labels that could help cut down on some of the confusion. Anything else that you want to share? Any other insight that you have to offer, Nick?
No, I'll just say that we've been talking about it a lot since the bill went into effect, and everybody keeps asking, well, how will I know if it's good?
Yeah.
And the recurring advice that all the experts seem to give is use your nose, smell the product, look at the product. Is it bulging? Is it gray for some reason? Does it smell a little off? You know,
use your
dates
senses.
that you had been relying on were kind of meaningless to begin with. So trust your senses.
Absolutely. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't. If it doesn't smell right, it definitely isn't. Between that and hopefully some clearer language on food packaging, folks can figure it out. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time to be with us on this Monday afternoon. The time is now 2:26 p.m. Before we jump into our next guest, a sweet treat that we want to talk about, a collab between the CTA and a local ice cream company called Pretty Cool Ice Cream. And oh boy, do these look good. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back to Chicago Live. The time is now 2:29, and our next guest is going to take us on an adventure. It is the perfect sweet treat for this hot weather that we have been experiencing. A local ice cream maker is teaming up with the CTA. An unlikely collaboration, but boy, do the products that have come from it look good. Joining us now is Dana Cree, two-time James Beard nominee and self-proclaimed Queen of Ice Cream. Dana, thank you so much for being here, owner of Pretty Cool Ice Cream.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about this collaboration. We understand that your ice cream shop and the CTA have teamed up to come up with 4 different ice cream bars, all themed after different CTA lines. Tell us to start, how did this collaboration come to be, and just in time for National Ice Cream Day on July 19th?
Yeah, so I started talking to someone who works in the marketing department at the CTA and told them that we should do a collaboration. And they said they were looking for more interesting things to do, for sure. And when I told them I could turn the train lines into different flavors, they got very excited. And it took about a year to bring this to fruition, but we're very proud.
Okay, so give us some background on Pretty Cool Ice Cream. Founded in 2018. Talk a little bit about the company, where you're based, and what inspired you.
Sure. So I was a pastry chef for 20 years, and ice cream was always my passion. I wrote a cookbook about ice cream called Hello, My Name is Ice Cream, and I knew I wanted to open an ice cream shop. I just assumed I would make scooped ice cream like everyone else. And then while on book tour, I encountered the equipment to make popsicles and ice cream bars and just fell in love with the format.
what is your most popular sweet treat?
Our most popular flavor is caramel horchata crunch.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
a
yum.
horchata flavored ice cream and a caramel shell with crispy rice pearls.
Okay.
And it's the only flavor I've ever made that beats chocolate.
And are all of your products, is it all ice cream bars? Talk a little bit about, what people can expect when they try it for themselves.
Yeah, so everything we make is on a stick or it's an ice cream sandwich. So we say we specialize in frozen novelties, which are the kinds of things you would find on an ice cream truck. Sandwiches, popsicles, ice cream bars. We make plant-based pops as well. And sometimes we do pints, but we don't scoop ice cream.
Okay, I love it. Tell us about the collaboration. So we've got 4 flavors. Run us through brown line cookies and cream. Tell us about that one to start.
Okay, so cookies and cream is one of the most popular flavors, but we love to do little variations on it. And for the brown line, we made the ice cream brown and chose chocolate, and it really sent it over the top.
Okay, next up, orange line mango passion fruit. Is this anything like an orange-sicle, or is it way more adventurous?
It's a little fruitier. So it's the same orange shell you'd find around a dreamsicle, but then inside we wanted to put something bright and sunny. So we picked passion fruit and mango combined.
Oh my gosh, so good. Blue line blue moon. Blue moon, that's awesome.
Yeah, Blue Moon is a kid's flavor from the Midwest that tastes like the bottom of a bowl of Fruit Loops. It's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And we keep a Blue Moon pop on our menu at all times, but it's part of our plant pop line, so it tastes like coconut. And I really love Blue Moon ice cream in a dairy base, so this was an excuse to make that.
Okay, and last but not least, red line strawberry tres leches. Oh my goodness, this sounds so good. Someone asked me earlier which one I would want to try most. I think it would be that one. How did you begin to come up with the idea for that?
So it's a flavor we've made before in kind of a different variation, and it seems obvious to go with like strawberry or raspberry or red fruit. So I wanted something that took that and enhanced it a little bit. And we make all of our own baked goods at the shop too, because we're a completely gluten-free company. So I really wanted to highlight the fact that we could do that too.
So how can people, oh, there they are. Okay, looks good.
Those are actually our Hanukkah pops.
Oh, these are the Hanukkah pops. Okay, so that's not them. All right, we'll try to get a picture, but those look delicious.
They are delicious.
How can people get their hands on this CTA collab? Is it just for a limited run? And where can people find them?
You'll find that in our Logan Square store at California and Fullerton. We'll have them all summer through August 31st. We're about to sell out of our first run. It's been wildly popular. But we will continue to stock them through the end of the summer.
And we understand too that there will be pop-ups at select CTA stations. Should people follow your social media for that, CTA's social media? I know you might not want to reveal all the stops and pop-ups just yet, but how can people track those stops?
Yeah, follow us, follow the CTA. We'll announce it through both platforms, and it'll be on National Ice Cream Day,
which is July 19th.
There
they are. Okay. Oh, how cute. So walk us through left to right. We've got Blue Moon.
Yeah, Blue Moon. The second one's the orange line, passion fruit mango with an orange shell. Then the red line is the strawberry tres leches. And then the brown line is the chocolate cookies and cream.
Oh, I want to try all of them. What's your personal favorite, first of the 4, and then of any flavor you've ever made? I know you talked about the most popular that you sell, but what's your personal favorite?
Of the 4 that you're seeing, I really love the orange line. I love bright, fruity, tropical flavors in ice cream. And then of everything we've ever made, that's a really tough sell. But this last year, we made one called Reese's Nachos. And it was toasted marshmallow ice cream dipped in a peanut butter shell.
Oh, wow.
And it just blew my mind.
Oh, my gosh. That sounds great. Okay, is your freezer stocked? I mean, how do you, I think mine would be, right? Is it just overflowing with different, different ice cream bars?
No, because I have a 7-year-old.
Okay.
And she has friends, so.
So they're eating all of them.
Absolutely.
That is great. Finally, I just want to touch on, Dana, this is all for a good cause. In the spirit of supporting local families, a portion of proceeds from the CTA collab is going to go to the CTA holiday food train. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
talk about
all,
why
all of our collaborations are part of our community pop program. And we changed the creative partner and the community partner multiple times throughout the year. So this collaboration is no different. And we will be donating back to the CTA's own program for the holiday food train, which really, we're about feeding people and nourishing people. And it really meshed with us.
Absolutely. And over the years, the CTA has helped provide meals to nearly 12,000 local families through this initiative. So really wonderful that you are taking part. Anything else that you want our viewers to know? Give us the address of your Logan Square spot.
Sure. It's 2353 North California. We're the big pink building right next to the post office.
All right. Can't miss it. Thank you so much, Dana. Really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And we can't wait to try the CTA bars ourselves.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. The time is now 2:37 p.m. We will be right back after this quick break. How delicious do those look? And you heard her mention, but follow them on social media. Follow also the CTA. Their name again is Pretty Cool Ice Cream. And you can track those pop-ups that'll be happening over the coming weeks at different CTA lines, different stops. Not announced just yet, but you may be in for a nice surprise if you do commute in or out of the city on one of those lines: brown line, red line, orange line, or the blue line. So stay with us. We will be right back after this quick break here on Chicago Live. Welcome back to Chicago Live. The time is now 2:41 p.m. We want to take you back out to the courthouse in Provo, Utah, where prosecutors argue that the man accused of shooting and killing political activist Charlie Kirk last September, on September 10th, 2025, should stand trial. That decision has not yet been made, but will be made here in the coming hours or days. Charlie Kirk, again, shot and killed at a Utah university event last September. So let's listen into what's happening right now in court.
I mean, if she's present under the current theory and the information, she's technically could be classified as a victim of the event. So it also should be protected under that. So we would object to it being read in public. It would not be admissible at trial in the current format that it is due to its hearsay nature. We do think it would negatively impact our client's right to a fair trial. And furthermore, I believe the witness herself has requested that, particularly because the video contains images of minor children, which I know the state has made an effort to redact, but nevertheless, the reference to the minors, I think, would still fall under the protection. And so for all those reasons, we would object to that coming out in public and being discussed in the public forum and being published in any way. And we object to it coming in.
All right. And so if you wouldn't mind just restating the rule that you're relying upon so I can fully look at your objection.
It's the UCJA, the Utah, Code of Judicial Administration. I just blanked. The Utah Code of Judicial Administration for Rule 4-202.02, parenthetical 8, parenthetical F as in Frank, and or parenthetical 5 and parenthetical capital O.
All right. Thank you. I'm just
Yes, sir.
getting there. I want to review this before I hear from Mr. Sturgill.
Okay, so you said a minute and a half more for this? Okay, cool.
All right. I've reviewed that. Mr. Sturgill.
Well, Judge, let me address, I guess, a couple of things. Ms. Nestor actually brought up, I think, both the 1102 statement that we intend to introduce and sort of referred to the video. So let me address each of those one at a time. With regards to the 1102 statement that was prepared by Ms. Wright, Judge, it was gathered in compliance with the Utah Rules of Evidence 1102, specifically subsection B8. It's a statement that was gathered by an SBI agent. It was prepared with knowledge of the advisory that it was going to be used at the preliminary hearing, and it also included the warning that if a false statement is given, it's going to be a Class A misdemeanor. Judge, I don't know what additional foundation you'd like. Well, that's kind of where I was going, Judge, is I was trying to lay a little bit more foundation just to introduce that statement alone. I haven't got yet to the video. But with regards to the 1102 statement, it has been collected in compliance with Rule 1102. As I stated, B3 or B8. And as we all know, Rule 1102 allows reliable hearsay, as does the state constitution, Article 1, Section 12.
So what exhibit will this be? I want to look at it not for the purposes of, as a magistrate, taking it into evidence.
You were just listening in to a Provo, Utah courtroom where Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting and killing conservative political activist Charlie Kirk last September at Utah Valley University, is there in court, and it will soon be determined whether or not there is enough evidence to take him to trial. Switching gears now, we want to bring in our fabulous 5 p.m. producer, Sloan Salerno, who is joining us to talk a little bit about what she's got planned for our 5 p.m. newscast. Hey, Sloan.
Hi, Casey.
Sloan is in the control room there. She is going to be walking us through. So what are the big stories? We know, I mean, one of the big ones is, of course, the Team USA soccer player who was reinstated for today's game. I know Cassie's all over it. Sammy's all over it. Big news. I think that's the big one today, right?
Yeah, that one's crazy. We're going to have a whole big thing on that at 5. Because, Trump talked about it today. He's like, I didn't think it was a penalty. I gave him a call, but he says he left it up to FIFA to make the decision. And so we're going to talk about that. And then Cassie's going to just talk about the rules of how this even happens. And then Sammy P will be live at recess, and he's going to try and get some fan sound out there for us and, how people are reacting to it. I mean, everyone in America is happy. So that's kind of the general consensus about it. Confused maybe, but happy. But yeah, and then FIFA denied Belgium's appeal. So he'll be playing tonight, or if they put him in, he can play tonight. And so, yeah, that's going to be a big talker tonight.
I know, and I think it'll help the explainer from Cassie and Sammy, because it really is confusing for people who don't follow soccer regularly. And I think every 4 years this happens where people, of course there's the diehard soccer fans, but then there's people who really get excited and kind of jump on the bandwagon here, but maybe don't fully understand the rules. So this will be really good to have an explainer, because it's flip-flopped so many times now since the initial red card violation. People went nuts on social media, upset about the initial call. So it'll be really cool to hear from Cassie, from Sam, and then also, his videos from recess recently have been wild with the excitement of fans. It's just been so crazy. And he posted last night, but just the line to get in was wild. So
crazy.
I can't wait to see when he gets back there tonight. Brian Jackson was there this morning, but of course they weren't open just yet. So I can't wait to see how many people are going to be in line. I'm sure people were already lining up more than an hour ago just to get in for tonight.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's already shoulder to shoulder in there. I'm sure it's insane. At least it's not as hot as it was last week when he was in there, because that looked miserable. And at least it's not pouring rain.
Right.
And so he's got that on his side tonight, but also it's USA. So, people are going to be rowdy and they're going to be crazy regardless of the outcome. And so, yeah, it's always fun to see him at recess.
And he's going to come in and chat with us in a little bit. So we'll see him before he heads out into the wild there and hangs out with a lot of soccer fans. I don't know about you, Sloan. Would you rather be at home, or would you rather be out and about in a crazy packed place like that?
It depends on how much I care about the sport for soccer.
I agree.
I feel like being around other people is more fun because I don't really care about it that much. So me watching it at home is kind of boring. But if it's a really serious, Bears game or something like that, sometimes I do prefer to be at home in the comfort of my home.
I agree.
And being able to actually lock in and watch it and not have a million people screaming around you.
Right. Especially when you want to hear something, you want to hear the refs, you want to hear the announcers. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes being at home is best. But for our sake, I can't wait to see him out and about at recess today. What are some of the other top stories that will be in the 5 p.m. newscast?
Yeah, so Leslie's got a exclusive story. It's not fun to talk about. So a suburban family, they're suing this nonprofit. It's Clearbrook Community Integrated Living Arrangement. So it's in Rolling Meadows, and it's a place where people, adults and children with disabilities live, and they get around the clock care. And so a family is suing, saying that their 33-year-old daughter died because staff didn't follow her plan. And so they're saying that they, relied on this place for her to live there. The family all worked, but they still were very close to her. They would bring her home on the weekends, things like that. And they're saying that she was left alone despite she was a high risk of choking. And so they're saying that they did not follow her care plan because of this. They left her alone, and they did not cut her food into small pieces, which is required. And they say that a employee had left her there. When they came back, she was choking, and then she unfortunately passed away. And so they're filing a wrongful death lawsuit. They're also saying that they have raised concern previously about the staff there surrounding their daughter's care. And they even filed a complaint with the Illinois Office of the Inspector General, but they're saying those complaints were never addressed. So they're understandably upset, and they have a lot of questions.
Oh my gosh, our hearts go out to that family. Just horrible, especially when you entrust, a facility with the care of your loved one, and kind of having to give up that control and hope that all is going well. So we'll be thinking of that family, but we're looking forward to hearing Leslie's report on that.
Yes, and then Joni, so she's got a story. So there are 2 reservoirs in the suburbs that are almost completely full from all of the rain that we've had. So McCook is at 98% full, and then in Thornton, their reservoir there is 94% full. So that's 7.3 billion gallons of water, which is crazy. And that's the highest that it's ever been. I think the last time it was that high was in 2015, and that was 54% full. So a significant amount more than that. And so there's 11 places in the suburbs now that are at risk of flooding because of this. And so she's going out there for us. And we did talk to someone with the reservoir to, understand why this happens and what can be done. And so that's what she's got for us tonight.
And we've had so much water lately. Even last week when I covered the corn sweat story, just in the midst of the really high heat, experts said that what was also contributing to the corn sweat kind of making things feel muggier and more humid was just how much water we've gotten and how much water is in the soil, and how that alone can also increase humidity levels in the air and kind of just that feeling of the air. So everywhere it just really kind of has been inundated with heavy rainfall. And I'll ask JD about that too, Sloan, when he pops up here in a little bit to talk about that. So where will Joni be heading out? Which one of those reservoirs? Do we know yet?
She's going to head to the Thornton Tunnel one, because that's the one where they have not seen it at levels like this. And, ever. This is the highest it's been. And like I said, the last time I was this high was more than 10 years ago, and that was at 54%. So it's like unprecedented levels.
Oh my gosh, something to keep an eye on for sure. I see also in your rundown, I'm so glad that you're including this, but the collaboration between the local ice cream shop, Pretty Cool Ice Cream, and the CTA.
Oh, I know, that's fun. I was just listening to her on ChicagoLIVE to listen for a bite to full, and I think that's a great idea. It's so fun. It's interesting when something like the CTA does a partnership like this, because you don't think of them as necessarily fun, but then they do something like this, which is just always cool to see.
Yeah, it's kind of an unexpected collaboration. We think of Instagram collabs with influencers and different local businesses or bakeries or shops, but I love that the CTA is getting after it with this one. 4 different ice cream bars: Blue Line, Orange Line, Brown Line, and Red Line. They look so good. What would be your top choice to try?
I think, is the Brown Line the one that was Oreo flavored?
Yeah, cookies and cream.
Yeah, I would do that one.
Okay. I think I would do the strawberry tres leches, but they all look so good. Yes, so viewers will also get another taste of that story coming up at 5. Anything else you want our viewers to look out for?
Tia's got a great story tonight. So she's talking to a woman who has been through a lot. And so she had fainted at work. And so she went to the doctor's office to for a concussion and black eye follow-up. And instead they uncovered that she had a bunch of fibroids, which are non-cancerous tumors. They can be in or on the uterus. And so she was like, this is something that has been bothering me for years. And it took all this time for it to be figured out. Wow. She said that she's always wondered, she's like, I would lose weight. I lost 50 pounds and my stomach never changed size. And she said that her stomach would be so inflamed that it's comparable to carrying twins. That's how inflamed she would be at times. And doctors had told her, you're going to need a hysterectomy. That's the only option. But she ended up getting a second opinion. And she says that saved her life. She was able to get surgery instead to remove all the masses. They ended up taking out 21 of the fibroids. Wow. And they saved her uterus. And so her main point here is, advocate for yourself, trust your instincts, and and just don't give up, because she still has her uterus now, even though, she was told that the only solution was to take it out. Right. And she's already lost 17 pounds from getting those removed, which is crazy.
Isn't that incredible? Sometimes just getting a second opinion can really just change the trajectory of your health. And, so many of the health experts that we talk to, they encourage and they say just what you just said, but to really advocate for yourself and for your own health.
Yeah, and so yeah, that is a great story. I can't wait to see. I know Tia's going to do a great job putting that one together.
Yes, she always does. Well, thank you so much, Sloan. Really appreciate you taking the time to jump in. It sounds like it will be a jam-packed newscast coming up at 5 o'clock. We really appreciate your time as always.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. All right, stay with us here on Chicago Live. We've got much more to cover, including some students who are heading to Italy. This will be a really exciting trip for them, but they are young musicians that have been selected to represent Chicago in a prestigious show in Italy. So we are going to be talking to one of the artistic directors of the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic coming up after this break. Stay here. Welcome back to Chicago Live. The time is now 2:58 p.m. We want to go over what we're expecting to cover in this last hour. So we will be chatting with the co-founder of the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic, who will be taking a group of students to Italy for an incredible performance that they have been selected to take part in representation of Chicago. The person that we will be talking to, the founder and artistic director, he himself is an Emmy Award-winning trumpet player. So we will get to him. His name is Orbert Davis, coming up in just a little bit. We will also be chatting with our very own Sammy P about all things FIFA World Cup. He will be heading out to recess later today for the big matchup, USA versus Belgium. If you saw on social media, he posted yesterday the line at recess, and it went for blocks. People just dying to get into these locations to watch the game on the big screen with a bunch of other fans. Right now, Portugal and Spain are playing. It is halftime. No score just yet. That game taking place in Dallas. Tonight's game, Team USA versus Belgium, taking place in Seattle. And of course, one of our top players, Flo, reinstated after some confusion with a red card the other day. So we'll have Sammy break all of that down for us. And we will also be talking about the weather. JD Rudd is going to pop upstairs here. We have obviously been experiencing sweltering heat over the last week or so, just so much humidity and mugginess outside. Gorgeous day today. The sun is shining. That humidity is cutting down a little bit for us. So we'll talk about what we can expect coming up in the next several days. Stay with us. We will be right back after one more quick break. Welcome back to Chicago Live. The time is just about 3:03 p.m. We are so excited to bring in our next guest, Orbert Davis, the founder and artistic director of the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic. We have so many exciting things to unpack with you. Thank you so much for being with us. And we see you're in the studio and you have your trumpet. Orbert is an Emmy Award-winning trumpet player. Maybe you'll give us a little bit of a tune. But first, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so give us a little bit of a background on the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic before we dive into this really exciting trip that's coming up for a few of your students.
Sure. Well, Chicago Jazz Philharmonic is normally a 60-piece orchestra, and we call it third stream, which is the blending of classical and jazz. So when you see the orchestra, it looks like a symphony orchestra, but at the heart is the rhythm section or the jazz group and soloists. So it has the spirit of a jazz ensemble, but yet the sound and the depth of a symphony orchestra.
Oh, just amazing. When did you help co-found the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic?
It's been about 22 years now. My history, I was a studio trumpet player, studio musician for many years. So I worked in many genres of music. Any given day I would play classical, jazz, or sound like Louis Armstrong, or sound like Earth, Wind and Fire, whatever the music was called, I did it. But then I also, when I became a composer, I loved writing for the symphony orchestra. So it's just a part of my life of the dream of having my own orchestra that would play this music, which is so broad.
Oh, just sounds incredible. So 3 of your students are heading to Italy. I mean, this is huge. They are representing Chicago, but also the nation, right? Tell us a little bit about this trip and this prestigious event that they will be performing at.
Absolutely. So Chicago Jazz Philharmonic also has an education program. We have a summer camp and a Saturday camp. And so these 3 young men have been a part of our program at least 5 or 6 years each. And 2 of them are heading off for college in the fall. So we decided to start a program, which is more like a scholarship, to help them get ready for that next life for them. But then they also deserve it. They work so hard, and we've seen them grow as young men and also as musicians. So the program in Capistrano is basically, it's a program to vitalize the community, but also I call it cultural diplomacy. It's to show the value of the arts and the value of culture. I can't speak a word of Italian, and many of them cannot speak English. But when we're in the same room making music and discussing music, we are family.
Absolutely beautiful. Now walk us through just a little bit more about each of the students, Morgan, Aaron, and Daniel. And I see here, Daniel is a finalist for Juilliard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he'll be going to, I think, Peabody Institute in the fall. And just a phenomenal piano player. He came to us at such a high level. And our goal has always been not to just make incredible musicians, but to make incredible people. Mm-hmm. But what happens when you do that, they become incredible musicians as well. Aaron will be entering Berklee College of Music this fall as a composer and French hornist.
Incredible.
Absolutely phenomenal. Morgan he's actually going to be a junior in high school. But to see the 3 of them together and working together, it's going to be phenomenal when they now start to work with their Italian counterparts, because there we'll have about 70 students from beginning to professional. And so it's shaping the mind, shaping the person, but also shaping the music.
And music is just such a universal language. Will you be going on the trip yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Great.
We're actually taking members of Chicago Jazz Philharmonic, our rhythm section, which is bass, piano, and drums, but we're also taking our first violinist, concertmaster, and one of our soloists to go with us. So each of us will be leading a group in Italy and teaching composition, teaching jazz improvisation, and of course, teaching third stream music.
And how long will you be there? Maybe we can zoom back in with you when you are there, and we can get a little bit of a taste of Italy.
Let's do that. I wish I could have you taste the food because the food is amazing. We're actually, this is our 3rd year of our residency program. And every year we try to build another component that makes it even more beneficial for everyone.
So great. What does it mean to you? Just an incredible musician yourself, but to pass on those skills to another generation of students and to see them thrive and to see them have these amazing opportunities. What does that do for your heart and for your mind?
Well, I always use the line when I post on Facebook. I always say, "This is why we do what we do," and it's absolutely. But so I cannot say that I've done anything without the help from someone else. You know, mentors who have been in my life, musicians who have taken me under their wings, and so on. So this is my chance and our chance to do that for them too. But we also expect that they will do the same in the future as well. And it's going to make the world a better place. It is making the world a better place.
And you know, they've got to be so excited. I'm sure they're packed, right? I mean, I don't know. I think I'd start packing weeks in advance.
We just had rehearsal this morning here in the studio, and they're so excited, and yeah, it's going to be life-changing for them. And again, it's not just about the music, but it's about the people, and it's a chance for us to get to know each other better too.
Yeah. What do you want people to know? What do you want viewers to know about the opportunities for youth here in Chicago when it comes to music?
Wow. I would say that music is the greatest magnet for us to become us. You know, it takes away the individual aspect of the, you know, what's on the external, whether it be skin color, culture, and all. Once we are making music together, we become one at a deeper level. And it's so important, especially reaching international communities, to understand that. You know, we're in a very tough time in our world right now where people are judging each other by the color of their skin or, you know, what country they live in, and there are wars breaking out. But at the heart, if we would only learn and appreciate each other's culture, we can now live in the world, live in this country together. And I believe that music is the unifying factor for making things better.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have your trumpet. Can you play us a little tune?
Oh wow! This was supposed to be a prop. I just wanted to like.
And you know what? I will tell you too, our colleague Ian, he looked you up before we did this segment. He actually saw you perform. Ian, how many years ago? 2018. And where was it? At the Jazz Showcase. He remembers you, and he's sitting right here in the studio, and he said you just blew his mind.
Oh, I appreciate that. And again, that shows you the power of music. And as far as it being one event can be something that lasts for the lifetime. And that's what we're hoping for our students. I will also say too, that if there's anyone watching who would love to support our students as well, we take donations for that as well.
And any other upcoming shows here in Chicago that you want to touch on at the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic? Anything that viewers can look forward to, maybe even if it's not this summer, but as we head into fall?
Sure. This fall, August 14th and 21st, we're doing concerts. We call it CJP Next, featuring our younger musicians and up-and-coming musicians. And we'll be at Norman's Bistro at Rainbow Beach.
Awesome.
And then look out for this fall. We're going to perform Sketches of Spain again at the Beverly Arts Center. I believe that one's secure. But the best thing to do is go on our website, ChicagoJazzPhilharmonic.org, and you'll get our complete schedule. And I'll also be playing with Chicago Jazz Philharmonic musicians at the Hyde Park Jazz Festival in September.
Wonderful. We will look out for all of those things. And I am serious. Let's talk again when you're in Italy, and we want to hear an update on how everything is going. Just this beautiful blend of the two cultures. Orbert, anything else that you want to share with our viewers before we let you go?
Well, I'm looking forward to that, because I will make sure that you see the beautiful mountains and the beautiful scenery of Capistrano. It's really something to behold. And maybe we can do something when we have the whole group together, all 70 of us, and we'll have everyone wave and say hello.
But
But thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Orbert Davis. So nice to meet you and to chat with you. Really incredible opportunity for those students as they embark on that exciting trip to Italy. Really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity before they take on other chapters. Some of them, graduating and heading off to their next role. So really, really lovely to chat with you about it.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
All righty. The time now is 3:13. Stay with us. We have much more coming up here on Chicago Live. Welcome back to Chicago Live. Joining us now is our very own Sammy P to talk all things FIFA World Cup. How's it going today on this Monday?
Bracing for chaos at recess. I'm going to get back there and they'll say you again.
I know, but you've been doing an amazing job being out there and really showing us what the fan experience has been like. Last night, you sent in a video of the line outside of recess. I mean, this went for what looked like blocks.
It started at the entrance and then sort of boxed around the entire bar, and as it completed the point where it would be a total box, it just went down another 3 blocks to Halstead.
Just kept going.
And those people, none of them got in.
Right, that's the thing.
That's the chaos.
That's the thing.
The lady that says, we've been waiting for 2 hours, maybe she got in. But then it went 3 more blocks and kicked all the way down. The people at the end had to know they weren't getting in, right?
Right. I mean, maybe they thought, well, if we don't get in, maybe we'll get I don't know.
A voucher?
A voucher.
Come back in 4 years.
A voucher for next time. You've been out. You've been in the crowds. What has that been like for you? And are you just bracing yourself? Big game tonight.
When I got hired, I was told you're going to be around people, which is my favorite thing in life, to be around people, especially people that I don't know, and then make them feel comfortable. Let's see. I've been here less than a month. I've been lifted by a rugby team.
I know, that was great.
Had beer dumped all over my head.
And can I just say, when I saw that clip, I was worried about your leg, because you had just told me that you had hurt your leg. And then the next day, I see that rugby lift, and I thought, oh my God,
That's the foot I landed on,
he's
too.
going to need more ice.
Right. It is a torn ligament, but I was told it couldn't be torn anymore. So I was already at week 3, so 2 more weeks of pain, I guess. I
Okay.
couldn't walk that week.
Oh.
And when the rugby team said, we'd like to lift you up, I said,
Okay,
well,
sure.
they're 6'5", 6'6", 280 pounds. They're not going to drop me. Wrong. And I landed. I don't have the brace on anymore, luckily, just my popsicle socks.
Oh, but that's perfectly on theme for the guest we had on about a half an hour ago, talking about popsicles.
I love popsicles. So let's see. Dropped by the rugby team, beer on the head, crowd surfing, and then last game when the Americans beat Bosnia and Herzegovina, I surprisingly gifted a group of guys a bucket of beer, which one of the guys slammed on the air. So I don't know what is going to happen tonight. I just know that there will be some sort of chaos.
We don't know what to expect, but we can't wait to see it unfold. Talk to us about this big development today with one of our star players. First off, walk us back to the last game and the red card.
So Balogun, Flo Balogun is their top striker and their best goal scorer so far this World Cup. He had a play where he stepped on the ankle of a Bosnian player. And they went back and they decided that it was a red card. And it was a very controversial decision. So the game is late last week, all through Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning at least. It doesn't sound like, it's even possible to, revert this decision. But then President Trump got involved and the upper workings of FIFA got involved. And let's be clear, FIFA has been very sketchy for a long, long time. This is not the first time, nor is it the last time. But the powers that be went back and went through all the rules and decided that it wasn't a red card. So they just took it and basically sliced it in half, which allows for Balogun to play tonight, which the Americans are very excited about. The Belgium faithful, maybe not as much. This is not like the first time it's ever happened, though, in FIFA. You know what I'm saying?
I think earlier, I think it was the coach for Belgium. Did you by chance hear his press conference? Very upset.
Of course.
I mean, right? Like you're preparing, I'm sure you're playmaking for the players that you think will be on the field. And then this kind of throws them for a loop.
Well, I'd be upset because he's the Americans' best goal scorer. As I said, he had 2 in the first match. He's been very live around the net. He puts the pressure on opposing defenses. So when you're game planning for USA without Balogun, it's much easier. It's a much less tall order, I guess that'd be a shorter order, not a taller order. But to have him back out there, I mean, he changes everything for the USA. He's the guy that gets behind the defense. He's created a couple of opportunities where other teams have knocked the ball in their own net. So he sets the tone. He gets deep. Very surprising decision yesterday that they allowed him to play.
And Belgium tried to contest
Good luck.
the decision and was told by FIFA it's not going to happen.
Right.
I think the energy tonight will be even higher given this new exciting development. What are you most looking forward to tonight at recess? And just talk to us about, how you stay locked in, because obviously you still got a job to do, but it's tough. It's tough being out and reporting in the field when, you're in a situation that is exciting, but you're also like, wait, I need to work on what am I saying here?
It's very chaotic, no doubt about it. That's the term I've been using. It's very chaos-driven over at recess because they're at capacity most nights, and they were definitely at capacity yesterday. So we're talking about 2,500 people that are just hooting and hollering and pouring beer and spilling shots and everything's wet. And luckily, I talked to JD today. He said no rain in the forecast, so that's great. How do you stay composed? I don't know. How do you stay composed? Right? I guess you're not really broadcasting in a bar. This is a high-tech studio.
It's tough, though. I mean, when I lived in Milwaukee and the Brewers were having a great run and I was there for the Bucks championship, it's high energy, but it's the adrenaline that gets you through it.
Yeah.
So who's your photographer? Do you know?
It's Carb tonight.
Okay. It's going to be a fun night.
Carb is excited. Carb texted me at 2 o'clock. We don't leave until 4, so I'm going to step off the set here and change out of this because there's no way I'm wearing this to recess tonight. Michael has been outstanding, our photographer, who's from Ireland, by the way, so he fits right into that whole soccer mix. And the night that it was pouring rain when I had the beer poured on my head, Michael and I did not have security.
Yeah.
Since that night when we got the beer shower live on television, which you can't control, and you literally, you can prepare for a lot of things, you can't prepare for that. So the rain is pouring down. My notebook is soaked. I can barely hear the broadcast at the news desk, and then, oh, by the way, here's a beer to the face. I don't know how we did it, but we did it.
You pulled through.
I don't know if I even answered your question.
No, that was perfect. Let's take a look here. Still no score in Portugal versus Spain game. That one taking place in Dallas. Tonight's game in Seattle.
Seattle. So it's a home game for the USA. Got to score first. I wrote down, if I could.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I wrote down 3 keys for you for the game. Number 1 is to get Pulisic involved early. He's, of course, their player who has not scored a goal yet, but he's going to have a lot of opportunities on the wing, one-on-one, and he's a playmaker who has not scored yet, but he certainly can. Number 2, they have to control the midfield. Belgium is over-reliable. They're not flashy, but they have substance. They are responsible, right? They don't make a lot of mistakes. They try and make you make mistakes. So you want to control that midfield. And they've got a really, really good player, Jeremy Doku, who's their young stud. If they can corral him, they can win. And you've sort of hinted at this. Score first. That'd be my final key. You don't want these fans in Seattle to be silent. You want to get that first goal. They have a very good goalie, Courtois, for Belgium. Put the ball in the net, take that 1-0 lead, unleash the crowd. It's sort of obvious.
It's so important,
but it is
though.
important.
You're right.
You need to get that first goal tonight.
Because if the crowd is kind of a dud, it can impact the mood, it can impact the
Of course.
energy, and you really want the players to feed off of that.
And to your point, the Americans have played with the lead all World Cup, which allows you to play with a freedom, right? You're not tight, you're not shelled up. You're playing with the freedom to do whatever you want, and that's because when you score first, other teams then have the pressure, and then they go on tilt, so to speak. So if you can keep that up, get that first goal, get the crowd involved, we will see the USA onto the quarters, which does not happen very often. Of course, that would be on Friday at 2 o'clock against the winner of Portugal and Spain.
Which would be incredible to
It
see.
would.
Thank you so much, Sammy P. We
course.
wish you all the best at recess. Go get geared up,
I will.
and we know you'll be popping in for us in our newscast later today. Very excited to see it. Stay with us here on Chicago Live. We will be back after this quick break. Welcome back to Chicago Live. The time is just about 3:27 p.m. Happening today in a Utah courtroom. Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting and killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk last September, is in court. Prosecutors are arguing that he should stand trial. Witnesses have been interviewed, testifying on the stand today. Let's take one more listen in to what's happening there in court.
Objection. This is hearsay. This statement is hearsay. We have constitutional concerns for the reasons we raised in our standing objection. We also would like to cross-examine Mr. Farnsworth about whether or not and to what extent these videos may have been altered in any way. It is clear that clips were being made out of the larger videos because he sent, even his own statement says he sent larger videos, and this is just a small portion of them. So obviously someone made clips, and we don't know who, and we don't know how, we don't know what they did. And for those reasons and the reasons in our standing objection, we would object to the admissibility of it, and as well the, I don't have a redacted version of 8.1, but I assume there is one. There is personal information on this one. Do you have a redacted? Okay, I don't have that one. All right, and we would object to publication just on our concerns for fair trial, the same issues.
Let's read that.
Yeah, gotcha. Yep, I think so. Thank you. And for all those reasons, we would object to its admissibility, its publication, and its ability to be filmed by the media, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor, I just wanted to check. Did you get a copy of the redacted?
I was just handed it.
Welcome back to Chicago Live. It is almost 3:30, and we want to check in with meteorologist J.D. Rudd, who is here to talk all things Mother Nature. We were really in it the last week with the heat, the humidity, but how are things looking this week?
You know, you can't fall off the floor. Or in this case, it's easier to go down than go up. We had a rough week last week, let's be honest about it, with the heat, the humidity. Then the weekend was almost a washout in some cases.
Yes, it really was. It was a bummer. It was, you know, people made the most of it, but so many 4th of July shows were canceled, fireworks displays called off or delayed. It was a tough one.
The fog, too, also playing a role in the Cubs game over the weekend. So the fog messed up fireworks, got involved in the Cubs game. Just a wild week of weather last week. This, much better week.
Good. More predictable?
I would say more tolerable is the key word.
Good.
I mean, it looks about the same. From the inside looking out, you go, oh, it looks sunny. It's got to be hot and humid out there, right? No, it's just warm. It's comfortable warm.
It looks beautiful.
It's a great July day. I mean, we don't get many of these, so if you can get out and enjoy it today, do so. Temperatures right now aren't too bad. I mean, it's warm. Again, it's not like it's a fall-like day. This is still upper 70s, low 80s in most cases, unless you're up against the lakefront. 75, the lakefront, and in Michigan City.
That's perfect.
That's thermostat weather in some cases. Wasn't the recommendation last week, set your thermostat to 78?
Yeah.
That's exactly what Mother Nature has done. She said, oh, 78, sounds great. Let's go right about there.
Yeah, I love it.
And the low humidity, too. That's the best thing.
That is such a relief because we were really put through it over the last week with the humidity and the mugginess. So that is welcome news.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dew point values last week were around 70 to about 75. That's almost like Florida coming and visiting you as opposed to you visiting Florida. And now this week, dew points have dropped down into basically the 60s. There will be a day, I think it's going to be Wednesday, where the dew points will kind of climb back up near 70. So it's going to get a little thick, a little warm, then we drop those dew points right back down. So it's a little bit of heat, and then we're right back to comfortable. So it's pretty good.
I want to talk a little bit about something that you were talking a lot about last week. It was a story that I covered, spoke with an expert, but corn sweat and how, you know, this topic comes up about once a year in the summer during really sweltering days. But just how our corn crops here in Illinois can actually impact how things feel outside. Break this down for our viewers.
Oh, So how much time do you want me to take? It's basically the evapotranspiration of the plants as they pull up all the moisture out of the ground and whatever else. The corn, as it matures, it gives off the extra moisture, the excess moisture, that latent moisture, and it does so by the gallons. I mean, 1 acre can give off about 3,000 gallons a day of extra moisture. That's just in 1 acre.
Yeah.
So think of all the corn crops you see around here. That's a lot of acreage. That's a lot of gallons of water. But the key to it all is wind direction, because the main heart of the Corn Belt is southwest of here. Most of western Illinois, all of Iowa through Nebraska, Kansas, northern Missouri. So a good south-southwest wind, it's like putting a straw right into that stuff and sucking it up this way.
Yeah.
So if we get a southwest wind, we're going to pull in that excess moisture. We're going to jump those dew point values up. That's going to make it feel so much hotter. Conversely, if we get ourselves a northeast wind, we're not pulling up that corn sweat. We're not pulling up that moisture. So the dew point values will be lower. And that's where we find ourselves today, tomorrow, and the back half of this week. It's Wednesday. We see more of that southwest component. The temperatures go up, dew point values go up. And the big thing about the corn sweat, we're not at the peak yet.
Yeah.
It's just getting going.
And that's what the expert was saying, is that it peaks mid-July to late August.
Yes.
So we're really just getting started with the impacts of corn sweat.
Yep.
And even when we went out, we were in at Klein Creek Farm in Wheaton, and the corn crops that we saw, they were pretty short still. They haven't really grown too high yet.
Were they knee-high?
They were knee-high. And what's the phrase?
Knee-high by the 4th of July.
There we go. Perfect. So
Which
right
is-
on schedule.
Yeah.
Now, we've also seen a lot of rainfall.
Yeah.
The expert we spoke with last week said that the soil is so saturated that has also played a role in humidity too. We've got Joni heading out to the burbs today, where she's covering reservoirs that are at their peak. Is this a concern? Do you think that,
Yes. The weather, again, how much time do you have? We're always in a cycling pattern. And recall what happened in April, how wet it was. Then we got into May where we went, oh, what happened to all the rain?
Right.
Now we're back into that wet phase of the pattern. This is already the second wettest start to July ever on record.
Wow.
And our records go back to the 1800s. Now we're only 5 days into July,
Right.
but still, what we picked up on the first couple of days was a lot of rainfall, over 3.5 inches. That's just officially at Chicago. There were other sites that picked up nearly 8 inches of water in just the first few days of the month. Our monthly average is about 3 3/4.
Oh my gosh.
So we're always doubling where
Yeah.
we're supposed to be for the entire month, and there's still 26 days of July left to go.
That is concerning.
So that's why I'm thinking that we're going to get back into the same pattern, not this week necessarily, but before too long, you get more rain showers in here. This all plays a role in and of itself. When you have all those gallons of corn sweat, all that atmospheric moisture, that's available moisture, potential available moisture in the atmosphere. When it rains, it's like squeezing out a sponge that is already saturated.
my
So you're
gosh,
putting all
yeah.
that moisture right back down on
Yep.
top of us, and the water cycle goes on and goes on. So we're going to get these, I think, episodes again this month, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them into August as well, where it's very saturated, very soggy, very soaked, and the locales that aren't doing well with this stuff, they're going to have problems.
Okay. Well, this Wednesday, Windy City Smokeout kicks off in Chicago. I believe it's a 4-day fest this year. And how are we looking for the weather? It's outdoors.
Yes.
How are we looking for the weather? It
Let's-
takes place right outside of United
Let's
Center.
cue it up this way. I'm going to show you the sky forecast first. So on Wednesday, partly cloudy. Like I mentioned, dew points will go up, temperatures will go up. It's going to be a little bit, I'll call it extra warm, maybe hot for some.
Sure.
Upper 80s for high temperatures, dew point values around 70 or so. So it's going to feel like the 90s. Then Thursday, Friday, more clouds than sun. Dew point values will go down. Temperatures will drop a little bit. But the problem with Thursday and Friday, those clouds are going to bring us rain. And it's a pretty decent chance of rain as it looks right now. Thursday would be more thunderstorm variety, so scattered rain, embedded thunderstorms. And then Friday in the morning more so might be some leftover rain. Newest data I have seen is suggesting the back half of Friday is dry, but those clouds will hang around, which, again, if you're outside, not necessarily a
Right.
bad thing. Helps hold back the temperature. I mean, Friday looks to be the coolest day of the next 7, 81. Typical high this time of year is around 84. So much of this forecast will be spent at or above average. Friday's the cool day, and you probably see it there, Casey, for next Monday. The 90s are trying to creep their way back in. That's why I say summer's just getting going.
It really is. And Saturday and Sunday there looks great, like great summer days. I mean, it's going to be hot, of course, but
I laugh because I know we talked about this last week, and some have already bemoaned it today. We had all those days last week where it was sunny. We've got an upcoming weekend where it's going to be sunny, but we had this past weekend. Of all the weekends, where could it please just be dry?
Of all the weekends is right.
And it wasn't. So for those who have any events going on this week, any make goods on what happened over 4th of July weekend, depending upon, I mean, Thursday, Friday brings us that rain chance, but for Saturday, Sunday right now, we're looking dry.
I know, and you know all of these festival organizers and event planners are just hoping and keeping their fingers crossed. A couple of years ago, Windy City Smokeout, there was a big evacuation because it started to rain and there was lightning. And because of the outdoor event, you've got that many people in one place. They actually did have to evacuate the event for a couple of hours. They did reopen the festival grounds, so hopefully we don't see the need for that again, but at least they are prepared. They have done it before.
That's my thought is, have a plan in place now in the event Thursday is a day with lightning or whatever, know what to do, and maybe, have a plan B on Thursday if you're thinking about going.
Yeah, well, we know you need to get back downstairs to get ready for the 4th. Thank you so much, JD Rudd, for joining us here on Chicago Live.
Always
we appreciate
happy to come
you.
talk weather.
Thank you so much. Stay with us. We will be right back. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Chicago Live. It is just about 3:42 p.m. on this Monday afternoon. Let's give you a quick look at the stock market right now. It was closed for the holiday weekend on Friday, so things reopening. As you can see, it is up about 155 points after a slow start this morning, so things are looking up there. Again, the market was closed Friday for the 4th of July holiday, so things leveling back out this afternoon. We had a lot to cover here on Chicago Live today. A lot of different guests that we spoke with, starting with a chief of the law enforcement division for the Lake County Sheriff's Office, who told us about one of their canines, Canine Simba, who helped take down a burglary suspect last night while a burglary was unfolding. When investigators arrived at the scene, they located 2 suspects, but there was a third, and that's where Canine Simba comes in, taking down, tracking that third person. All 3 men were in court today for their initial appearance. We also spoke with a group about a data center in Grays Lake, a large, more than 10 million square foot data center has passed the village there in Grays Lake, but there is a group that is opposed to it because they worry that it will take up acres and acres of their wetlands that they want to protect. We also touched on access to dental care for those with Medicaid and how it can be very difficult to access that care based on distance to specialty providers, but also reimbursement times for Medicaid. So the group we spoke with is really working to cut down on some of those reimbursement times and help offer resources to individuals on Medicaid. We talked to a health expert about brain health during the heat and how to eliminate and protect yourself from brain fog. He said really look at the supplements you're taking, look at the ingredients, stay hydrated, and make sure that you're getting enough electrolytes. Coming up today, you'll see it again, but at 5 o'clock, you'll hear again from a guest that we spoke with on Chicago Live about a collaboration. She has a local ice cream business, and she is teaming up with the CTA and has unveiled 4 different ice cream bars, all named after a different CTA line: the orange line, the red line, the brown line, and the blue line. You'll be able to get a taste of those different ice cream bars at her shop in Logan Square, but also during some yet to be announced pop-ups on different CTA platforms. We had Sammy P on, our colleague, to talk all things World Cup. We had JD Rudd on to talk about the weather. It is shaping up to be a nice week with some potential showers this Thursday and Friday, but otherwise the humidity really cutting down. We've got one more guest for you who has a local business called Afro Unicorn. She will be joining us to talk a little bit about what she has created. She used to be a real estate agent, but she's got this business going, and it is really to celebrate all different hairstyles. So we will be chatting with her coming up next. You can catch her product in some local stores. Stay with us. We will be right back after this quick break. to Chicago Live. It is 3:47, and we want to introduce you to our next guest, April Showers, the founder and owner of Afro Unicorn, a hair brand that celebrates creativity, diversity, and confidence. Thank you so much for being with us, April. How are you today?
I am living the dream. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, and I love it. We see the products behind you and we see your shirt, which is so colorful and full of life. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to start this brand, because we know you're a real estate agent and a business owner, but what inspired you to switch gears a little bit and create this company?
A friend kept referring to me as a unicorn because of me being the real estate agent, me having my other business, me raising my boys and being a single mother. So he said, April, you're a unicorn. I didn't know much about unicorns, being a tomboy and a boy mom. I looked them up. I saw that they were unique, they were mystical, and I started to use the emoji that we have in our phones. And then after a while, I said, you know what? It probably would be cool if I had a unicorn that actually looked like me. So it started off with me just wanting to have my own avatar, but in creating it, I realized, wow, this can be a huge movement of other, first off, women who balance and have many hats, who may not know that believing in yourself is the greatest superpower of all and did not know that they were unicorns. So I started it off as a women's movement, and then it quickly grew into this huge children's brand that it is today.
And so talk a little bit about the products and what you have aimed to achieve. And your products can be found in some really big box stores too.
Yes, so that's what I'm here to talk about right now. We have a 120-day campaign to really turn the hair care company around, which is Magical Tresses. And yes, it could be found in local CVS and Walmart. Some of the CVS's are on Southwestern and Stony, and then the different Walmarts I have here. You have North on West North, on Ashland. So yeah, it's out there. You could just Google it to see what's available. But the hair care line is called Magical Tresses, and I created it with your children in mind. And it also works for us too, for us grown-ups. But if you have 1 ounce of a curl, this will work for you.
Okay, and the packaging is so much fun, and that is so important for little ones, because when you're little and your mom or your aunt or grandma wants to do your hair, it can be a battle. It can be a struggle. Talk about just the products themselves and what they aim to achieve, and hopefully the colorful packaging is helping make things just a little bit easier for the parents out there who are just trying to make their kids' hair look good.
Yes, one of the biggest things is what you said, like children they get so scared about getting their hair done. So these products help to detangle hair, detangle those curls, starting with the detangling shampoo. We also have a detangler spray. So we understand that children do not like getting their hair washed, combed, brushed, all the things. So we try to make it as magical as possible. We have the foaming mousse, which is one of my favorite products, and it smells like you're sitting on rainbows. Like it really smells like, I don't know, papaya and cotton candy mixed with apples. It's the kids love it. They look forward to it. And then they can also top it off with cute hair accessories. Cute. So then you just make it a whole experience. And the hair accessories can be found on our website directly at afrounicorn.com. But now they're looking forward to a magical wash day.
Absolutely. Now, we know many small businesses face challenges and face difficulties. Talk to us a little bit more about that 120-day rebrand effort that you're launching.
Yes, because as you said, we are facing all kinds of challenges. I cannot speak on this without talking about the 600,000 Black women who have lost their jobs since January of last year, which is our consumer base. And so we're really struggling to stay on the shelves at these local retailers like CVS and Walmart. And I know people love the product because we get so many reviews. And sometimes they just think, oh, well, she's on shelves, so she's doing fine. The product is doing good. It's only doing good when you're buying it. So we have to keep supporting, we have to keep purchasing the products to keep them on the shelves. And if you don't, then we're going to be very limited to the products that are available to us.
And I'm sure, too, that, like so many other businesses, was yours impacted by tariffs and recent economical changes that have just made everything more expensive when it comes to creating the product?
For sure, tariffs has a huge impact, but then also the economy in general, the inflation, the fact that 600,000 Black women have lost their jobs because of where we are in a nation right now. So it has definitely impacted the brand 360 for sure. I do feel like that we're getting ready to get in a better position as a nation. I have to be optimistic. I mean, I have this unicorn brand, so I can't be a Debbie Downer. I have to think that things are going to get positive. I think what helps is that for me and you guys giving me this type of platform to spread the word, to say, hey, before you don't see us anymore, this is what we can do to make sure you keep seeing us.
Now, I know you mentioned you're a boy mom. I imagine these products can be used on little girls, of course, but on boys too.
Yes, my sons both use the products. I have to keep it in stock for them.
Good.
Especially the mousse, and then this curl cream, because a lot of the boys have their little curls, their little froze, and so the curl cream is the boys' go-to.
I love it. Anything else that you want our viewers to know? How can they support you? I've got your Instagram page pulled up, AfroUnicorn_official. How can people support you?
The biggest thing is to go to the stores, go to CVS, go to Walmart. If you can't find them there, feel free to go online and shop. We're at Amazon. We're on our own direct to consumer website, AfroUnicorn.com, AfroUnicornHairCare.com. And yeah, just support. Tell somebody, if you know someone that has curly textured hair, say, hey, I heard about this cool brand called Afro Unicorn, Magical Tresses. Go check it out.
And where are you based?
I'm based in Los Angeles, but I have over 100 family members in Chicago.
Oh, that is wonderful. Well, people will look out for your products on the shelves here. And of course, always just such a great thing to support locally owned businesses. And so thank you so much for your time, April. We really appreciate you coming on this afternoon.
Thank you again for having me. Have a magical day.
You too. Absolutely. We'll stay right here. We are just wrapping things up on Chicago Live. We will be right back for one final recap after this break. Welcome back to Chicago Live. We have just a couple of minutes left, and we want to keep you up to speed on the current FIFA World Cup game, Portugal versus Spain. With just a couple minutes left in the game, Spain has scored. The score now 1-0 Spain. The winner of this game will go on to play this Friday at 2 p.m. If the USA defeats Belgium tonight, the winner of that game will take on either Portugal or Spain, and right now it's looking like Spain will come out victorious here. Just another 30 seconds or so left in that game. We are keeping you up to speed, all things FIFA World Cup here on Fox. Tonight's game, USA versus Belgium, starts at 7 p.m. You heard him, but our very own Sammy P will be out at recess in Chicago, keeping an eye on things fan related. It's going to be an exciting game here tonight, and again, the winner of that game will move on to the next round, playing this Friday. Thank you so much for being with us here on Chicago Live. Stay with us for FIFA World Cup and for our newscasts, which are coming up. We had Sloan on to talk about what's coming up in the 5 p.m., but stay on our stream for our 4 p.m. newscast. It was great being with you, and have a wonderful day.